Steve here with Table Rock Tea Company. It is another rainy Saturday, so that means another book review because I'm going to be studying today and working on all kinds of mental stuff instead of physical stuff. So that's how farm life is. You just got to roll with it. So today I'm reviewing one that I just received yesterday. I was super happy to find this book. It's called Tea Manufacture by C.R. Harley. And this is actually a manual on tea production and processing. I think it was published in 1963. And what's really cool about this is one of those antiquarian books. So very difficult to find. I'll kind of leaf through it a little bit here. It's got some old pictures. See if I can find them. There we go. Yeah, it's got some old photographs of old machinery, things like that. Yeah, what's really nice though, there we go, flip through some of those cool old photos. This was one of those books that back in the day, people were researching tea. They didn't quite understand how to make it. They did and they didn't. There was still a lot of secrecy behind it. And so you'll find that a lot of these technical manuals came out. Now, people have asked me how we learned how to make tea. When we started out with Table Rock Tea Company, this would have been 2006, something like that. We didn't officially form until 2014, but we've been growing tea since 2006. You know, back then, you're talking about the internet in its infancy. It wasn't really easy to find information. And so what I did was I took some old tricks that I had honed, I guess, from the old hydro missions days when we researched low technology water solutions. So I would sift through encyclopedias and things from the early 1800s, pre-electricity, basically, before the light bulb was put on public display and then everything converted to electrical. A lot of those things were just mechanical solutions to problems. And so I did a lot of my research from late 1700s to early 1800s, books like that. Hard to find and very expensive. That's part of the problem. They fall under antiquarian books. So there are book collectors that collect books for their rarity, you know, and their antiquity, not necessarily for the information that they hold. And so I had to broker a lot of deals with a lot of book dealers to be able to acquire a vast array of old books because I wanted the content. Sometimes I'd have to maybe rent them, you know, and then do photocopies and send them back, that kind of stuff. But either way, I have probably one of the most extensive antiquarian libraries about tea manufacturing that I know of anyway. Probably if you went to a university in, you know, like a tea university in China or maybe India, they'd have some, I'm sure. But I've got a pretty extensive one. I'm sure it's probably the most extensive in the United States anyway. I've been collecting these for years, and people asked again how we made tea, or how we learned how to make tea. Well, tea has always been very secretive. It has always been one of those things where, you know, big corporations and trade secrets and nobody wants to talk to you and all that kind of stuff. However, they still need to pass along technical information. That stuff gets passed along in books like this. And so what you'll find is this is actually a pretty open book. I mean, it's actually got things like rolling times and temperatures, humidity percentages, that kind of stuff. But when we started out, like when I went to write this book, this is my book on how to grow and make tea in the United States, available on Amazon, by the way. When I was setting out how to learn how to do tea, I would get a bunch of these books and I would find a little snippet of information. And this is kind of, I guess, a tip on how to do some research. Maybe you're interested in, say, you know, making soap or doing some kind of process where you're taking a raw ingredient and you're taking it from raw ingredient to a final product. And it's an old technology. You know, how do you discover really how to do that for yourself if it's a fairly tight-lipped industry. Like, in other words, people don't want to share their secrets with you, that kind of thing. And so this is what I would do. I'd get these books and I'd read through them cover to cover. It was exhausting. But every once in a while, they'd let a piece of information slip. So for example, they might say in one book from, say, 1832 in India, that the rolling time and pressure is this, right? Let's say rolling time is this. And then I might find another book from China and say like 1850 or something like that. And they would say it's this. Well, what I would do is right in here, in this little in-between, I would start there with that temperature for our process. And so then gradually I'd collect all those little pieces from all those different sources, put them all together, and then have the process. And then of course within that little narrow bandwidth, then we figure out, okay, well, this is what happens when you go past it, this is what happens when you go below it, and you just kind of keep honing in on it until finally you get what you want. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So I guess maybe not so much of a book review because I haven't gotten into it yet, but I can already tell just from a preliminary flipping through it that this is a pretty spot on manual on tea manufacture. It looks to me like they are focusing on India more than likely. But it's funny because this was published by the Oxford Tropical Handbook. That's part of that series. So yeah, I wouldn't doubt if this is primarily focused on India since they've got rotor vanes and stuff like that. So anyway, this will be a fun read for sure. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to see what else is brewing here at Table Rock Tea Company.